Welcome back, everyone. The Conversation's Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For a radio audience tuning in at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all can be with us. Also joining us online around the world, thanks to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, we're glad you all could be with us as well. For those who are looking for some motivation and inspiration and also the encouragement that things can be better if you don't give up on yourself, you guys are going to really enjoy this next segment. We're excited to welcome Donald DeP Paige to our broadcast today. Deep is someone who's been able to make his impact through words. We're going to talk to him not only about the response to his new music, but also he's written a book that's available through our friends at Amazon.com called Fall Back to Step Up. We're going to talk to him not only about the book, but also what it's been like for him to know what it's like to be able to, first of all, encourage himself and then also motivate others as well. If you guys are not staying connected with Deep, we will let you guys know where to be able to find him. Deep, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. So you've had quite the 2024 already, Deep. I want to first begin there. A lot of times we're so busy and into what we're doing, we don't have that time to kind of stop and reflect. What has it been like for you to kind of catch your breath and think about the first part of this year?
I actually was trying to think, have I actually stopped and caught my breath? It's funny that you say that. Literally, a few years back, I was really releasing music just as a part of what I do. Every year, you release something so that you can go out on tour and not really have a lot of purpose or intentionality with your whys and how you move. You kind of get into the routine of things. When I wrote this song called Celebrate, and true to my name, Deep, all of my writings have a lot of layers, things that are specifically for music. How do we remain commercial and radio ready but still have messaging, which I feel a lot of songwriters and artists have been forced to compromise our messaging and our pursuit to be commercial and to sell. And so I took it as a personal charge to always try to do both with my music. And I wrote Celebrate about that particular point, not forgetting to stop and celebrate the wins. Being in entertainment, a lot of times when things are perceivably looking like a win in current time, it's something that we've done, sometimes a year before, 6 months, a year, 3 months, so it's kind of hard to stay in a celebratory mode once released because we're on to the next project, on to the next thought, on to the next purpose work, in order to just keep the machine rolling. So I can't say I have grieved just yet for 2024, but
gotcha.
In the reflection of 2024, I think that it's a reaping season. And it's been very interesting as I've met people from all kind of different backgrounds across the world that there has been this honing, if you will, back into purpose, into this ascension to the next level. And it seems as though all of the things that I've been doing the past few years have been in perfect alignment with this reaping season, while still understanding that I'm in a mode where everything that I've been preparing for is now available to me. The platforms, the stages have been made, and now all of the music makes sense. All of the writing makes sense. The training, my clients, they all make sense. And it's just great to be living in that season right now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Deep, because as you were just talking, I thought about your book, Fall Back to Step Up, and I have the Kindle edition, and the print edition is also available. They can also get it through your website. We're going to remind them of that. But one of the things that you said in the book, I made a note of, I'm going to share with our audience and talk about it in relation to what you just said. You wrote in the book at the time, at year cycle 38, I made a vow to give my all in everything I do without minimizing or apologizing for the favor, gifts, it factor, and presence I possess. I choose excellence even if it doesn't look like the popular definition of today's standard. Truth be told, I don't even fit the bill of those my ethnic community currently chooses to elevate, never have. Grateful as legends never really do. Deep, I choose you again. And I want to talk about that because as you were talking about what you've been doing the past few years, what has it been like for you to know that this is all a result of you, one, being true to yourself, Deep, but also choosing yourself and what you want to create?
Wow. I love that part. I recall writing that portion as an edit, actually. I took a month and went to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, to get away from some of the noise, to get away from the loud city, from L.A. And I remember writing that specifically to the audience, but really the audience was, or the reader rather, was secondary. It was to myself. It was a reminder that I am whole and that I am okay, and this is my purpose. This is the reason why I have a life, because of my individual unique experience, and understanding that transparency seems to be the best communicator between everyone else that is having a living experience as well. You know, how do we truly impact without being transparent and showing it? I think that a lot of times when we start, again, you know, monetizing things or creating things for public consumption, we lose sight of ourselves. And if we lose sight of ourselves, we'll lose sight of just those nuances that let us know, yeah, you're on the right path. Yes, this truly resonates with me and not just the trends. When you're reading that excerpt, I start flashing. As an artist, we're required to, you know, make social media reels, and to get on TikTok and just do these things that weren't necessarily the same prototype for the brand, for my particular brand. And it definitely isn't something that, you know, when I started in this industry, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, which is crazy for me to say out loud. But legitimately, I watched the requirement for being a public figure, for being an author, for being a writer, for being a singer just change. And we almost feel as though there's no place, you know. You start realizing how being a leader or being a leader that still has some of the what is now considered old methods of how we present ourselves, how we prepare for rollouts, the integrity in which we approach, and even just the process is just completely different. And so sometimes you'll find yourself feeling, am I antiquated in my thought? You know, is this still going to land? And I always was resistant to just completely what I'm using air quotes right now, spelling out to what the process really, you know, is. And we're forced by different platforms or told in order to be relevant and, you know, this invisible God, the algorithm, you know, we're told these things that we have to do. And I found myself starting to shrink, Cyrus, to be completely honest. I entered into the music industry as a solo artist, and I watched throughout my career about 8 years ago me, you know, step into the background space. I didn't want to have anything to do with being a public figure if it meant compromising on myself. And so while I was very firm in not compromising my standards, I did compromise how brightly I would shine around or in the midst of people that I felt it may impact. So what did that mean? That saw me in a season of shrinking. You know, if I thought that me being this bold or this shiny was going to impact someone negatively, even if it was just an inferiority complex or just different things that you kind of pick up on, it sometimes you internalize it. And I know I was internalizing it and translating into let me shrink, let me fit into a box, which I kind of touch on when I say fall back from staying in boxes. It's something that we hear a lot, but I think that the misconception is that you don't need a box. And my thesis is we all have a season when we need a box, but we also have to realize when we arrive to our destinations, when it's time to come out of that box and live at the fullness of our potential.
Right, such a great point, and I think it goes to also the music as well, because we also on the radio dial deep. I'll kind of paraphrase the title, but this stuff can't wait. We'll say for our radio audience here. So you said about this project that it really allowed you to create freely. Is that when you feel the most at peace, Deep, when you're able to do exactly what your soul wants you to do instead of what you feel like you have to do?
Absolutely. When I was able to start this project and create from just authentic alignment, I think after the pandemic and after coming off of the road with Kanye West and the whirlwind that was Sunday service, I found myself like everyone else at home. And transparently, I was happy. I was ecstatic to be at home and not be on tour and not be thinking about lobby calls. But then I really started thinking, what am I putting out there? And I realized I hadn't personally put these things out there. I needed to finish my book, Fall Back to Step Up,